and welcome to the show. I'm Jenna Morton.
And I'm Tosh Taylor. Go ahead.
We're just talking over each other today because we have such an inspiring guest. This is going to be one of those episodes where you just like keep having your jaw drop. I'm positive.
I agree. Today we're going to talk with Gillian Crooks. Gillian is a nutritionist at Rehab 1 in Moncton, and your story and your journey, Gillian, to me is just like epically mind-blowing. So we're going to talk today about how you went from a wheelchair to like training extensively Ironmans, triathlons, like
Yes.
just crazy. Like I'm looking at her in complete disbelief as I'm even introducing her. So Gillian, let's start like right from the get-go. You were diagnosed with MS, correct?
Yes, I was. So at the age of 19, I was diagnosed with MS. But just to kind of take you back a little bit prior to that, grew up in Sackville, New Brunswick. I was very athletic growing up, like swimming and running and biking, and went to Mount A, degree in psychology, and then decided I need to get out of Sackville, kind of broaden my wings, right? So I was out west, and I woke up one morning and I couldn't feel my feet and I couldn't feel around my waist, and I'm like, something's off a little bit. But at 19, being out west on my own, kind of ignored the symptoms, and then it just kept getting worse, where like about 2 weeks after that first morning waking up, could barely walk. And so I went to the doctors in Banff, and they didn't really know what was going on. Tested me for diabetes, thought maybe Lyme disease, but then those came back negative. So they're like, I think you need to go back home to the Maritimes and figure out what's going on. So my symptoms continued to get worse for a year, and I was shuffled from one doctor to the next, pincushion for just different medications to try and relieve some symptoms before getting the diagnosis. And there I was at 19, sitting in my neurologist's office, hearing the words. He said, Gillian, you have multiple sclerosis. You need to lower your expectations of what your life's going to be like, and you're going to be in a wheelchair by the time you're 40.
Oh my God.
Blah!
Yeah.
What do you do with that?
Yeah.
Right at 19. So I believed every word he said. And you know, when you continue to tell yourself something over and over, it becomes your reality. Right? So my body responded to that. But I wasn't in a wheelchair in my 40s. I was in a wheelchair in my 20s.
Oh my God.
Right? I just got so negative about the diagnosis, lived under the label of MS, even though, you know, some days like I felt like I could do something, but I'm like, well, I can't do it. I have MS. I can't be healthy. I have MS. I can't run. I can't exercise. I can't do any of that stuff anymore. So that kind of made me just gravitate and very limited and negative mindset. You know, used food as kind of a positive thing and a negative thing, developed a very bad relationship with food, right? It became my enemy very, very quickly. Was drinking, I was smoking cigarettes, I was miserable, and everyone around me could feel that I was miserable. So lo and behold, in my 20s, I woke up after a nap in the afternoon and couldn't feel my right leg. So there I was. That's what led me into a wheelchair. The stress, the negative mindset, the bad eating, the bad nutrition, and it just kind of got worse in my 20s. But then kind of what changed my experience with it was 14 years ago, I had my daughter. She was born. I'm like, okay, there's another human being I'm bringing into this world. I better smarten up. I have to be able to do something to help her. So that's kind of when I dove into diet and exercise and started coming across stories of how nutrition would just kind of help people feel better. So I'm like, well, why not try, right? So I just started adding in some real whole foods, kind of getting rid of the refined foods and the fast foods and all that kind of junk that I was eating. And within a couple of weeks, I started to feel better.
That quickly?
That quickly.
Holy.
By adding in good stuff, right? And when you continue to add good food in, there's not really a lot of room for the bad stuff. So I didn't really feel restricted at the time. You know, people say, oh, if you go on a diet, it's all restriction and deprivation. I just didn't feel that. And then this new wave of energy came across me, and then the weight started dropping off. And I'm like, okay, so what else can I do here? So I, got back to the gym and started doing some weights slowly and remembering like how good it felt. And after my daughter was born, though, about 9 months after, my feet went numb. They're still numb today.
What?
Yeah, I can't feel my feet, and I have numbness on my side and stuff, but I really just wanted to run again. like it would, I don't know, I get very stubborn about things. And I'm like, so if I can start to feel better through nutrition, maybe I can just get over the hurdles of what people think, or, you know, if I can't feel my feet, if I'm tripping over them, that's okay. I'm going to do it anyway. So I remember putting my running shoes on, lacing them up, going out the door, running for 1 minute, walking for 1 minute. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that. And then I just kept progressing and continuing to research food and nutrition and continuing to kind of get back in tune with my body and telling me how it would feel and making more changes. Next thing I knew, there I was at a 5-kilometer race. I'm like, holy moly.
Yeah.
Like,
Who am
what
I?
is going on? But you know, you still have that voice in your head saying, you can't do this. You have MS. Like, what are you doing? Don't be crazy. But I said, screw that. Be quiet. I'm going to do it. So I did my first 5-kilometer race, probably not the most graceful runner.
Doesn't matter.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a medal for that.
No.
I don't remember seeing one that says graceful on the side. Not that I get any of them for any of it, because I don't do it. Just to be clear.
That's awesome.
My husband does though, and you do. I've seen the medals.
Yeah.
But you did recently do the
I
run
walked.
for
I walked
Doesn't
5K.
matter,
It doesn't matter. You're
Forward
moving.
is forward.
Exactly.
Forward is forward.
But
Yeah.
yes,
One
no
step
medals for
forward.
gracefulness.
So after my 5K race, then I did a 10K, and then I had always wanted to do a half marathon, like back in my teens, and then I did it. I couldn't believe it.
Wow.
That my mind actually had the capabilities to transform my body.
And how quickly was this all happening?
Probably within 4 years of like making change. Like that's when I got my confidence back, basically.
Big
right?
difference, yeah.
It's big difference. So it was a real magical transformation for me that my body could do this through nutrition and mindset. And then I always wanted to do a full marathon. That was huge for me, but I would always just kind of train by myself and do solo training because I just didn't want to slow other people down. If, you know, there was days where if I don't feel good or my fatigue gets in the way, then I can't do it. So I would always fail in my training because my body would shut down. Then I met this incredible man, and he's in my life now, who is an amazing supporter of my health, and he's an Ironman himself.
Wow.
And he said, we're going to do it. You're going to run your marathon. And so last year I trained, Bill and I trained all the time, went to PEI and finished my first marathon. It was crazy.
Yeah.
It was a very emotional time for me, seeing that finish line. It was emotional during the race because there was times, ladies, where I'm not going to make it. But if it wasn't for Bill, I did.
Yeah.
And, you know, having my parents at the finish line and stuff and big celebrations after. So that was huge. And then I continued to just trying other things. So got into triathlons last year as well. And now I am training for a half Ironman.
Oh my gosh.
In Old Orchard Beach next year. So let's hope borders open, everyone's
That's a
healthy and stays safe, and I can do that next year.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at.
Is that where your husband's going next year? Or
his deferral is for Maine. The one in Maine is Old Orchard Beach.
It's Old Orchard.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've heard some very
Look,
wonderful
you'll be there
things.
together.
Yes.
Yeah.
We might be. That would be very cool.
That would be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. And Bill's going to do it with me again, just for the support and
absolutely.
and get me.
And to say
through it.
he's done one too, again. Yeah. Why not?
Well, yeah, everyone is incredible to me that people do this at all, let alone people like you who have something that they're overcoming to do it as well.
Yeah.
So do your feet still feel numb? And you do half marathon. Like, I can't even wrap my head around that.
I get that question asked a lot, like, how do you even do it? And I don't know. When I start running, I really have to get into my head.
Yeah.
Right? And say, okay, this is what I want my body to do. This is what I want my feet to do. There really is a connection between your mind and body. We can't ignore that.
Absolutely.
Some people may say it's a little frou-frou, but it's not. And it's gotten me through to do that.
Incredible.
So, so I've now kind of made it my mission, you know, with my nutrition and to help other women struggling with autoimmune conditions, right? To overcome the chronic fatigue, overcome the weight gain, overcome the pain, right? So they can feel confident and energized too in life. And it's possible to live a vibrant life.
Exactly.
In the face of autoimmunity,
right?
Instead of living under the label that we labels, people let labels define themselves, and I did that for many years.
Absolutely.
Right? But now I can say, I do have MS, but MS doesn't have me.
Perfect.
That's what it is, right? And that line is out there a lot in the world, but it just makes so much sense.
Yeah.
It's your attitude towards it. So
tell us a little bit about that, how you're helping other people, because you've gone and you've switched careers.
Yeah, so I went from a flight attendant for years, traveling the world, to now helping people with their healthy lifestyle and incorporating good food and nutrition and mindset. So I am at Rehab 1. I do one-on-one consultations there, virtually or in person, and I help people with kind of lots of different issues in their life, whether it's weight loss, whether it's weight gain, whether they just want to feel healthier, have more energy. Autoimmune is a big one, just because I am so very much passionate about it. I can kind of relate to their stories and how they're feeling. And we start small with making small changes, right, in their nutrition. Small changes lead to big results.
Big time.
Really, right? If you start overhauling everything all at once, you're setting yourself up for failure because you're going to be too overwhelmed with the changes. So little, small baby steps.
Yes.
And support them all the way, right? So if I had to sum it up how I work with my clients, I kind of meet them where they are, listen to where they want to go, and then we build a bridge together, right? And I'm along the journey with them step by step to do that.
And you're accessible.
And yeah, exactly, right? And it's all about whole foods. It's real food. I like to teach about sustainability, a lifestyle that you can sustain. I don't believe in deprivation.
Right.
That's not fun.
And you'll always fail at it eventually, right?
Exactly, exactly. And it's all about balance and getting a support group around you and talking about your issues, right? And being open about them. And
I think something that's not represented enough in not just women, but in people in general, is that stress can represent with autoimmune symptoms, which happens to me often. I'm going to admit it. Stress will knock my body down quite often. So, is that something that you would deal with too? Like, because you get the same kind of symptoms, right? Stress comes along. If you have not the best gut flora, and stress comes in, then your body can represent with hives and swollen joints, as I've recently learned, and many other things like that.
Absolutely.
So are you able to work with people that way as well?
Yes.
Like, kind of not necessarily get into their heads, but like...
Yeah, so stress is huge, right? Even if it's a good stress or a bad stress, stress affects our body. So I do work with people, and we talk about how they manage their stress. A lot of people, when they're stressed, go to food for comfort. But even if you go to food for comfort, guess what? The stress is still there, right? Stress is always going to be there, but what's important is your reaction to the stress, right? So if you've had a completely bad day, just sit with that for a moment, right? And let the feelings, deal with the emotional side of it first, and then you can move forward and learn other tactics to deal with those stress, right? If you know what your triggers are, right, then you can learn to do things differently. But yeah, stress is bad for me too. I get it.
Yeah.
How you feel when life is out of control, my body starts to shut down. My symptoms get worse, my fatigue gets worse. So it's really about, incorporating self-care is very important, taking time for yourself, disconnect from the social medias and everything else that runs our life, right?
Yep, it's so true.
Yeah.
It's so true. Do you, we're going to talk about the foods that you work with, but just because I'm curious, have you changed completely just based on food, or do you still have to take medication for MS?
I am completely medication free.
Wow.
Yes.
That's incredible.
That's my choice. I believe there's a time and place for medication. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I will support people who are taking their medication, right? But you can still get more advancements in your journey to wellness by incorporating the foods alongside the medicine side of it. I was on every medication for MS. I was injecting myself once a week. I was injecting myself once every day with tried everything. I tried pill forms and stuff, and it wasn't working for me. I was getting more side effects from the actual medication, right, than actually it making me feel better in the long run. So I, kind of made the leap and said I'm going to manage it on my own. So far, so good.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that medication won't come back into my life. I'm not against it. Right now, I'm just okay without it. Absolutely.
But I think that's such a powerful part of it, is that understanding of when you need which help.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And not just going down one road, right? There's many different avenues that you can take for your wellness. So, for sure.
If you were to sit down with a client today, what's your first go-to? Like, what's the first thing that you're going to recommend to people to take out of their diet?
Refined sugar.
Yeah.
Sorry. Sorry. Because, right, the refined sugar, the dirty whites, I like to call them.
Everybody's got a name.
And, yeah, like the white sugar, white flour, white salt, all that stuff that is in those packaged foods in the middle aisles of the grocery store with all the pretty labeling to make us to believe that they are so good, but our brain believes that they're really good because that stuff's so darn addictive, right? So that is the first thing that, we'll have a conversation about, is let's get that stuff out of your body. And just by doing that, yes, it can be hard at first, absolutely, because your body will feel the effects of it coming out of you.
A detox,
Headache,
yeah.
Headaches, moodiness, fatigue, aches and pains. But once you get over that hurdle of 3 or 4 days of removing that and eating good, real foods while you're doing it, you're just going to start to soar. So just that one simple change is going to make things better. And then we kind of dive in to more things to add in and see about removal of other stuff. But everyone's an individual, right? So it's hard to speak overall about people, but that's one that I'm very passionate about. I put together a 14-day sugar detox that's available on my Instagram for free for people, just to educate on what it is and what you can do to get it out.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So
There's so much sugar in my house.
Baby steps.
yeah, exactly.
I did it once
steps.
before. I did pretty good once before.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Maybe after the holidays,
Yeah.
when all the chocolates
When
out
I,
of
when
the
I
house.
stopped making homemade marshmallows.
She did. Isn't that cool? Homemade marshmallows.
Yum.
Yeah, I know.
They are yummy, but they are very, very
Yeah.
refined sugar.
Yeah.
Very, very addictive.
Keep in mind, I'm human too.
Oh,
And
yes.
I love
Moderation.
that sweet too,
Everything
so
in moderation.
It's about balance, right? Balance
Yeah.
is that good word. I might be sneaking a chocolate here or there.
Yeah.
But I also have to remember that that's temporary satisfaction, right? And long term for me is much better. I know what it's like and how I felt when I was eating so poorly. So I just kind of got my priorities, right?
Yeah.
In place. I want to wake up tomorrow and feel good. My tomorrows are too important, right? To ruin them.
Yeah.
So, but it doesn't mean that I don't like my chocolate or my wine.
Or my wine. Amen.
Yes, there's
Yeah.
good health benefits to wine, ladies. We
Forget
can't ignore them.
It's a necessity.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so what is something, I just cut you off again.
That's okay. Go ahead.
What's something that you would, what's the first thing that you think that people are missing in their diet? Like if you're going to put something good back in, okay, we've taken out the refined sugar, we're putting something good back in, what do you think is the first thing people in this day and age are missing?
I think really good, colorful, real food, right? So the vegetables, root vegetables right now are in season. I think those are missing. I think people really need to be educated on carbohydrates. They kind of get a very bad rap these days with different kind of ways of eating, different kind of diets out there. There's good carbs that our body needs for energy, and there's those bad carbs, those refined ones that I said.
Yeah.
Get rid of. But it's just more, I think we, as society, it's a go, go, go society, right? So we're very rushed, so we look for convenience all the time. We don't have a lot of time to put into food preparation and the grocery shopping and cooking and stuff. So we tend to go for those packaged foods, the convenience foods, but there's nothing in those, right? There's no nutrients for our body. And yet our society is getting very sick,
Right.
right? So if we introduce those real foods that grow in the ground that Mother Nature has given us with all those real pretty colors, our body's going to respond and feel much better. Yeah.
Now you're waiting. Now you're waiting for it.
The heat is on.
What's next?
Yeah. What's your next question, Jenna?
I want to take it back for a minute to talking about your support system and your family. And you mentioned your daughter, and I'm curious
Yes.
to know what she thinks about your journey, because she's really only kind of been there for part of it.
right, for her to remember. So Zoe is 14 now, and when I was back taking my medication and injecting myself, she was by my side. Like, I didn't want to hide my MS from her. If she saw me sick, we would just kind of talk about it, but in a way, you know, that a 5-year-old would understand, and not to get her scared or anything, but just have open communication about it. But now, as she sees me doing the right things and the healthy things and the running and supporting other people, she thinks it's pretty darn cool. And she's also incorporating the healthy stuff into her life. Doesn't mean she doesn't have the sugar too, right? It's all about balance. For her, there was a stage there in junior high where she's like, I don't think it's very cool that I have a mom as a nutritionist. She's like, Mom, my school lunch, like, come on.
Give me a Lunchable just once.
I know, right? But she's really good, and we have conversations about some days, like if my energy is quite low, then she's like, she'll ask the questions, like, how much energy do you have? Like, what can we do today based on how you're feeling? Like, for a 14-year-old to be so intuitive like that, I think is really cool. But she, you know, she goes to my running races. We work out together at home, and and she's been a wonderful, wonderful support system. Yeah.
My kids do not think it's cool that I run. They don't. Definitely not.
No.
They like the medals. That's the fun part, right?
Yeah.
So that's what we get.
Yeah, mine like the cheering daddy on part of it, but to try to get them. Well, that's not true. I think they enjoyed the little track program they did, so there's hope.
Your oldest, she really enjoys yoga, doesn't she? There was a span of time.
There was a time where yoga was very much a part of our Cosmic Kids yoga.
I love Cosmic Kids yoga. Yes, so good.
Nice.
Yeah, they kind of aged out of Cosmic Kids and didn't bridge the gap to the next stage yet. I say yet. It's a magical word. It means it'll happen.
Cosmic Kids yoga is also magical. If you have young kids, you must check it out on YouTube. She's super great. Yeah,
fantastic. She does meditations too. Those got me through a lot of bedtimes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I still will personally listen to some of them because they're way better than some of the adult terrible things that are out there.
Harry Styles does bedtime stories.
I don't think those are meant to put you to sleep. This is going way off track.
I love it.
Way off track.
I love it.
Back to nutrition.
This is what we do.
Yeah, back to nutrition. So I want to talk about Rehab 1 and how did you end up there at Rehab 1 in Moncton?
So Rehab 1, it kind of goes back a long time. I've known John for a long time, many years, like just through my injuries and stuff and physio. And one of my really close friends is a massage therapist at Rehab 1, Ashley. And she knew that I've kind of wanted to get out more with my nutrition and target more people. And she's like, well, let's talk to John about getting a nutritionist on board at his clinic, because he has such a well-rounded, amazing team there, right? And so if we could add another aspect of nutrition, because nutrition kind of supports physio, it supports massage therapy, it supports the counseling services there. So I had a meeting with John, and he was on board to bring me in, and it's such an incredible team there at Rehab 1 and the culture within the team. So it's a real privilege to be part of that and say that I'm the nutritionist at Rehab 1. I love it.
It's so positive,
It is, and the way he takes care of his team too, right? It just shows in the services that are offered.
Yeah.
And that our clients are super cool and happy with it.
Yeah, and I also think it shows how much he cares about the community as well.
Big community supporter. Yeah, and getting out there for sure.
Yeah.
We're going to have to wrap it up there for this discussion, but I'm sure this is going to happen again sometime. Yeah. But until then,
I know.
Where can people find you? If they want to follow you on Instagram, if they want to find you at Rehab 1, how do people get in touch with you?
Awesome. So it's Gillian Crooks Nutrition is my tag for Instagram, Gillian Crooks on Facebook, and at rehab1.ca you can book online.
Fantastic.
So easy. And like she said, she does virtual appointments as well. So you can find her legit everywhere.
Yes, and you can find us most places as well. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Rogers, every podcast app that's out there.
We're there.
We're there. We hope you are following us, you're liking us, you're subscribing, all that wonderful stuff that the kids talk about doing. My kids love YouTube now, and they talk, oh, can we get more subscribers? You don't have a channel.
Click the link to subscribe. Also, please leave us a review if you've got the
5
time.
stars.
We'd love your 5-star review.
Thanks, everyone.